Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Results Mastery Podcast. It's great to have you here. My name's Steve Mills, and I'm really looking forward to sharing with you some tried, tested, and proven ways in which you can grow your business today. Today, I'm really lucky to have a lady that we met probably only a few weeks ago. At the Winchester Business Expo. Her name is Vicki Robb, and she's from Context Marketing. So she's a fellow marketer. So welcome to the conversation, Vicki. Thanks for being here. And do you want to kick off by telling people a little bit more about you and what you do, if you would, please?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for having me on, Steve. So as you said, my name's Vicky, and I'm the co-founder and director of Context Marketing Consultancy. So the reason that we set up was myself and my business partner, Colette, were actually in-house marketeers for our entire career. And we either worked in digital marketing roles or sort of project manager roles, campaign manager roles within in-house marketing teams. And we were noticing the same thing over and over again, that marketers don't have their platform set up to be able to deliver customer experiences that make them want to keep coming back and returning to your brand.
Okay.
So we set Context Marketing Consultancy up to be able to audit companies' marketing operations, write marketing operation strategy, which almost never exists in businesses,
Yeah.
and then also to be able to help them deliver those platform integrations and new processes and workflows. So it's been really, really interesting because it's kind of a different approach to how other marketing agencies and consultancies are set up. And
Yeah.
what we do is really drill down into those four key marketing operations areas. So it's around your people, your processes, your technology, and your data to help you deliver marketing that's more effective.
That's really interesting, actually, and I think it's one of the mistakes that people make. I don't know whether you know of a guy called Jay Abraham. Have you heard of Jay at
No,
all?
I haven't actually.
Sort of acknowledged as a world's leading marketing person, sort of thing. That's how he brands himself, anyway. But he's somebody I've learnt a lot from, and I always remember him talking about the three ways of growing a business, and that is getting new customers, getting more repeat business, getting people to come back and buy from you more often, and increasing what he called the average unit of sale, the average amount of money each customer spends with you. And he said one of the big mistakes is that people put all their time, money, and effort into getting new customers, which, as you've just said there, it's not, yeah, that's good, but it's also the most difficult, the most expensive. Getting strangers to buy is really difficult. Getting customers or past customers, keeping customers is often far more profitable. And that's sort of what you're saying you specialize in, yeah? Helping businesses to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what marketers sometimes forget and what businesses forget is that your marketing is there to set customer expectations. And it's not just setting expectations of the products and services, it's actually how they'll be treated across every single touch point in their journey. So it's almost marketers are responsible for bringing in customers to almost that lead gen and sales pipeline. And actually, what tends to happen then is that customers get bad service, there's nowhere to put complaints in, and it's all down to operational friction points. And
Yeah.
actually, if you can start to look at operations when a customer comes into your business and start aligning all of the touch points so that they're working harder for you, you can then build that out throughout your business. So what we tend to see a lot of is technology, so like websites, CRM platforms, customer service platforms that are built to help individual teams. So they're almost like your sales team would use the CRM, your marketing team would use the website, and
Yeah.
your customer support team would use another platform. It then makes it really hard for you to be able to see where that customer's come from, what their interests and their behaviors are, and then actually keep them on that platform without causing friction and disruption to their journey. And yeah, so we basically specialize in getting your operations to work harder for you to reduce those friction points across your customer
I like
journey.
that term, friction points. There are often times when, certainly in the sales process, I perhaps connect to somebody on LinkedIn or wherever. I start to build that relationship. There's an element of know, like, and trust somebody, and then we start communicating backwards and forwards. Perhaps we then meet up. We then go on to maybe a proposal or a sale, and then we keep going in terms of repeat business. But all along that sort of pathway or funnel, there are trip up points, aren't there? Where if we don't get it right, we lose that sale. I remember one client in particular. They were a law firm, quite a big one, like, well, for a small business, I think 35, 40 people. So reasonable sized law firm. And they were based in Maidenhead, and they call themselves Maidenhead's leading firm of solicitors. That was their thing, and they were great, I've got to say. By all accounts, they were really good at what they do. Their officers look great, they're very professional people, and so on and so forth. And then you looked at their website, and it looked like it had been built by one man and a dog, in the Houter Himalayas, with a budget of about £2.50. It just, you know what I mean. It's when things don't appear how they say. It's like, saying I'm really good at what I do, and then turning up looking scruffy and with a dirty old business card or a worn out brochure or whatever. You have to have everything in line, don't you? You have to have. I know an accountancy client of mine always says you got to get your ducks in a row.
Mhm.
And that's true, isn't it? If you've got one thing out of place, it could end up costing you a lot of money.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because I think what a lot of businesses don't do is go and almost have a look at their business from how a customer would see it.
Mm.
So the B2B Expo talk I gave in Winchester recently was around how brands can consistently deliver customer joy. And it was from removing friction points and making your brand really easy to kind of engage with. And and I think actually what a lot of customers, so one of my top tips from that was actually, if you're going to go on Google yourself and Google terms you would want your customer to be using. When
Great
you click on
advice.
your website, what do you get? What do you see? And actually, if you then click through to purchase something or you click to find out more, what's actually happening? And is it what you would want your customer to be seeing to build that trust and loyalty that you're the right brand for them to purchase products or services from? And I think that's where businesses make a lot of mistakes because they don't go and do something that's quite simple and help to remove those friction areas for their customers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally agree. What do you wanted to ask you, because I think this is a fascinating subject. What's going to happen going forward with this thing that a few people might have heard of called AI? Just it's everywhere, isn't it? And I'm sure you're like me thinking, how much more do I have to learn? As marketers, we've got to try and be up to date with the latest technology and things. But boy, it's never been harder, has it? Because it seems to me it's like it's every day there's a new AI, or an AI doing something new. And how do you cope with that, and how do you think businesses should be coping with it right now?
Well, it's interesting actually. So my business partner Colette is talking at Brighton SEO in April, and her talk is actually on AI, SEO, and customer trust. So yeah, so if anyone's in Brighton and wants to come along for that one,
Yeah,
but it's really interesting because I think now you'll see on Google if you start putting search terms in, it AI is what is surfaced as the first answer now, and I think actually if people then aren't doing their research, I think that can really quickly erode trust because we were actually talking the other day. So my sister and I both have dogs, and we were Googling whether there was a type of food that they could eat because we weren't sure. And it was an AI response that popped up, and we were just like, actually, do you even believe that now? And I think that that's the sort of stuff that's going to come in. And I think what's quite concerning is if that information that AI is picking up on and it's feeding the machines that are kind of serving that information to customers is wrong.
Yeah.
That's where brands can really quickly
Yeah.
start to erode customer
It's
trust and
really
things.
interesting. Yeah. I got an email the other day, okay, from this company saying that they've developed an AI bot that can make phone calls, sales calls on behalf of my company. So the
Mm.
bot can call people and try and book appointments for me. And I thought, I'm not really sure about this, but I thought I like to learn, I like to know. So I said, okay, yeah, I'm interested in having a conversation. I got a message back saying, right, we'll give you a call. So 2 minutes later, I got a phone call and I'm talking to this person and they're saying, oh, whereabouts are you from, Steve? I said, oh, I live on the Isle of Wight. Oh, the Isle of Wight. Yeah, that's really nice over there, isn't it? I know Bembridge quite well. I said, oh, right. Yeah, that's a lovely part of the island. And we're chatting, how you do on a phone call, a little bit of, talking before you actually get down to what you're actually talking about. So they said, so tell me what made, and they're asking me questions about why I was interested and what I was. And after about 10 minutes of this conversation, I said, I'm just a little bit skeptical, as you probably gather from my tone. And I've heard this sort of thing before, where somebody, an AI bot, has called me up, or I've spoken to one because I've phoned them, and you can tell straight away that's an AI bot, can't you? And it went, well, you didn't know I was an AI bot, did you? And I'd been talking for 10 minutes to
Yeah,
this, what I thought was a person, but actually it was an AI bot. It was just, I mean, it blew me away. I just thought, wow, that is incredible. And the really incredible thing is it said that that this company could make 1,000 calls an hour because it's just
yeah.
a machine churning.
But this is where I think it's interesting because I think that there's massive opportunities with AI and with that sort of thing to kind of scale efficiency. But I think what a lot of businesses are doing at the moment is actually creating more customer friction points because they're going, well, that's an easy solution. It means I don't have to then have somebody like if you have live chat on your website that's run by AI.
Yeah,
Yes, it's pretty good, but actually, if that information isn't on your website or anywhere online, that
yeah,
AI
yeah.
stops serving a function. And I think that then causes another friction point in a customer journey. So I think if businesses are going, well, we can put it in because it's going to make us more efficient, but they don't dedicate the time and resource to be able to set it up properly, I think it will start causing more
Yeah,
problems.
I think you could be right. I really do. And it's for me, one of my little sayings that I have when I talk to my clients is that the more people you speak to, the more money will end up in your pocket. And I really do believe that, with all this, I'm a massive advocate of this digital marketing world. I think it's brilliant. I keep myself up to date. I'm always pushing my clients towards it. But at the same time, I still deep down believe the more people you speak to, the more money you'll end up in your pocket. So I think the digital stuff is great,
Mm,
but it needs to, as you suggested, be complemented by the offline stuff, the picking up the phone, and on my mobile, I've got when my screensaver's there, it says "Pick me up and I'll make you money." On my phone, I've got this little thing there, and it's true. It's there, it's a a mobile phone. It's a smartphone. I remember somebody saying it's a smartphone, but if you don't pick it up to make sales, then it's a dumb phone.
yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, going forward and for if I asked you what are your top, I don't know, top three tips that people should do in 2025. Put you on the spot there. What do you? What would they be?
Well, so yeah, so I think the first one would be around actually going and having a look at your business as how your customers would see you and go through your website and say where are those friction points and what can you do about it? And actually then once you find friction points, it's curating a list so that you can go, actually, do we have a process for what happens? So for example, somebody comes through and they fill out a get in touch form. What do you send that customer when they do that, and who's responsible for picking that up, and what method of technology are you using? So I think what you can start to do is really quickly improve your operations by actually going, well, here's a list of all of these friction points, and here's how we're now going to resolve that by putting a process in place, by putting the right tech in place, and by actually giving somebody that responsibility to be able to do that. I think the other thing that a lot of businesses and marketeers do is put platforms in place that either aren't utilized to their full capability, or
Yeah,
you have other platforms that then overlap. So a lot of people will go, well, here's our website, here's a CRM that doesn't really connect. It has email function, but what we're going to do is plug a completely different email platform straight into the website. And you end up spending a lot of money on these platforms. They're really expensive.
yeah,
And I think you then don't get that data flow where you can start to see more information about your customers, and they get a disjointed journey because you're having to go, well, I need to find this out from this platform, this out from this platform. So it
yeah.
would be to actually audit your tech platforms and sort of go, okay, well, is that serving a purpose? Do we actually need that, or can we kind of utilize space elsewhere?
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and I think the last one is make sure that you're tracking what you can be tracking. We go into so many businesses and they don't even have sort of Google Analytics set up. And
yeah,
being able to understand where your customers are coming from, what's important to them, what they're looking at, and what message is kind of resonating is
yeah.
going to really help you kind of maximize where you're going with your marketing.
I totally agree. Like you have been doing this, quite a few years now, and I would say that the number one thing that people get wrong is they don't understand their sales and marketing numbers. They don't
Mm-hmm.
track stuff. They don't. If they've got Google Analytics, they haven't looked at it for 6 months. It's like a waste of time.
Yeah.
Having something and not using it. And I'd also say your point about the software. I've got a piece of software that we've actually white labeled. We call it the Results Mastery Hub. It's a fantastic piece of software, and it does everything, as you say, in one place. I must show it you at one point, but it really is good. And one of my clients, an accountant up in Skipton in North Yorkshire, was telling me that he was paying £280 in software licenses for £20 for this, £30 for that, £60 for something else, and so on. And he had all these different things that did all these different things. And now with our hub, it's got it all in one for 50 quid, so
Mm.
you can have problems with that. And again, you're absolutely right in your comment that often we finish up using 10% of something or 30%, and we don't really. The truth of the matter, I think, with software is we don't know what we don't know. We
Yeah.
know that it does this, and that's how I do it, and that's what I do. But actually, it does all this other stuff as well. So it can be a real pain. But the numbers are something that I just think are so incredibly important. Uh,
Mm.
and yet not one in a hundred businesses can really when I say that, I'm talking about smaller businesses. I think nearly every larger business is actually really good at it. And when you think about it, a larger business is good at understanding the numbers and a small business is not. And you wonder whether because they were good at managing the numbers, they actually grew to that size. Because once you know what results you're getting, you take something like going on the phone. Once I know that for every 25 calls I make, I get one meeting. What's the next question? The next question is, how can I make more calls? But the question before that is, how can I improve my conversion rate? So instead of 1 in 25, I could do 1 in 20, 1 in 15. And that I think is so incredibly important. Don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Sorry, I lost you a little bit there. Can you repeat that last bit?
Yeah. I sort of said, yeah, if you're making phone calls, sales calls out to people, and you make 25 calls, and that equals one meeting. If you manage to improve that to 20 calls for one meeting or 15 calls for one meeting, that's a really important thing to do. And then the next thing is, right, how can I make more calls? How can I get more people? I just wondered what your thought was around that.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I used to work in house for a property company, and we were tracking all of that kind of data, and we were just like, so out of every 6 calls we get, one normally turns into an appointment.
right.
But actually, what was also happening was they were creating friction that was actually preventing those numbers for being better, sort of conversion wise. And what they used to do was all of the mobile phones of the sales managers were on kind of round robin. It was fastest finger first. Whoever picked it up
Okay.
got that lead.
Yeah.
And actually, what ended up happening was that they were answering calls in kind of inappropriate places when they were out with family, when they were out in the cars, that sort of stuff. And once we realized that was happening and you could change the process and how people were coming in and being processed, we got those numbers down. So I think that's why it's really important to understand kind of the data that sits behind it,
Yeah.
because actually you're just like, where am I doing things wrong that I could improve it
Yeah.
and make that experience better for customers, but also make it better for helping the business kind of meet numbers and things that it needs
I
to.
agree. Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, so we're coming towards the end of our time together. Firstly, thank you to everybody for being here. I really appreciate your time. I know you're all busy, but thank you for sticking with us. If you want to know more from me, subscribe to my podcast, follow me on YouTube, come along to a webinar perhaps, and if you look on the wall behind me, you can just about see my website, which is results-mastery.com. So Vicki, how do people who are interested in finding out more about what you do, what do they do?
Yeah, visit the website as well. So it's contextmarketingconsultancy.com. We have forms that hopefully work, and we're not creating friction points for anyone on our own website.
Yeah.
But we've also got a YouTube channel where we put top tips, some operation stuff. So yeah, feel free to give us a follow on that as well.
Fantastic. And thank you to you, Vicky. It's been really interesting having a conversation with you. And certainly, I think we've added a load of value to the people who've been listening. So thanks ever so much, and look forward to speaking to you again next time on the Results Podcast. Thanks very much for listening. So, thank you for listening. And if you've enjoyed this podcast, and even more, if you've benefited from it and you'd like to know more, you'd like more of my help, and you'd like to benefit from my nearly 30 years of experience working with and learning from the leading experts in the world in the area of sales and marketing, then here's what you need to do next. You need to go to my website, which is results-mastery.com, and use the gold button to book yourself a meeting on a one-to-one basis with me. Thank you very much for listening again, and I look forward to speaking to you very, very soon. Thank you.